Lee Bates, and our Way to a Wonderful Life message for today is titled Light, Revealing and Healing Light. Now, light is something that symbolizes the movement through the darkness, so we know that light dissolves the darkness. So we know that whatever it is that we're going through in our life, whatever it is that's coming to us that brings us a sense of worry or brings us a sense of doubt or concern, that all we need to do is let that light of the Spirit, that light of intelligence, that light move through our mind and bring forth to us that greater idea, that better idea, that ray of hope that will let us know at the level of our soul that whatever it is that we need to move through, we shall move through it in the right and perfect way, in the right and perfect time, as we put our mind on God. There's an inner light within everyone, and as we turn to this light within and expect to find something, we're going to close our eyes, turn within, and expect that there's something responding to us. We'll get that answer to a problem, we'll get a greater sense of peace, or we'll get just a realization that everything will be all right, and we will never be disappointed as we do so. Now, for many of us, we may have to turn within many times before we align our heart and mind to be in tune with this light and receive a response, a flash of an idea, a feeling that all is well, a peace that surpasses all understanding. But as we seek, we shall find and reveal a part of our nature that contains an unlimited potential to serve us, every one of us, every last one of us. God is no respecter of persons, and we can see through the physical laws in the universe that God has created that the laws of the universe are no respecter of persons. Gravity works for everyone, whether someone is a saint or a sinner, what the world calls a saint or a sinner. Not all the people that the world calls a saint are saints. We know that. Not everyone that the world calls a sinner is a sinner, because we judge from what? Our finite human understanding, our finite human realizations of ideas and truths. So we know that God is no respecter of persons, that gravity works for everyone, and the love and law of God is made manifest in the law of gravity because of just that. The love is that it works for everyone, and it supports us by automatically doing everything in the same way, so we can count on it, depend on it, and have a conviction that whatever it is that's going on, we can depend on gravity. That's the truth. But we must realize that, like gravity, which is an unseen law, it's not visible, we only feel the effects of it, that the power of the Spirit, the spiritual laws, are just as powerful. So we must learn to align our mind with them. And as we align our mind with light symbolizing the intelligence aspect of God, intelligence quality of God, and we realize that we're created in the image and likeness of God, so therefore that intelligence is within us, and if we need a better idea, we need to know something more, we need to gain a greater knowledge or increase our talents and skills and abilities, that we must turn to this light, this intelligence, and draw from it all that is necessary for us to do just those things. This is what the mystical Ernest Holmes, an American mystic, teacher, master of theology, and author of numerous spiritual books, tells us about the light from his own personal philosophy. He writes, in flashes of illumination, the inspired have seen into the very center of reality, and have brought back with them a distinct impression of what they have seen and felt. A glimpse of this reality illumines the whole being with a flood of light. Every mystic has had this experience. Jesus was the greatest of all mystics, and once, at least after a period of illumination, his face was so bright, his followers could not look upon it. In moments of deepest realization, the great mystics have sensed that one life flows through all, and that all are some part of the one life. That we're all part of the Spirit. We're all part of the Almighty. That God has infinitely individualized itself into form into each and every one of us. That's what He's telling us here. that in moments of deepest realization, the great mystics have sensed that one life flows through all and that all are some part of that life. So we know that we are all in the image likeness of God. We're spirit, we're intelligence, we're power. We have a mind. Our mind creates things like thoughts and imaginations and images and so forth in our mind. So we know that this is all part of the spirit. So we're spirit having a human experience, and that's the intelligence aspect of God, which clothed our spirit in human form and gave us this gift of life to realize this experience on planet Earth. Now, these mystics have also seen the substance, Dr. Holmes tells us, a fine, white, brilliant stuff forever falling into everything, a substance indestructible and eternal. Now, not too many months ago, the Higgs boson particle was discovered, and the scientists were all enthused about that. But we know that the mystical people have already realized that this fine substance, this brilliant stuff, these particles are already there. They're indestructible. At times, the realization that the mystics have had has been so complete that they have been actually blinded by the light. Light was the first great revelation of divine creative energy that called on all living things, into being. Let there be light, and there was light, we read in the book of Genesis. And maybe we don't all understand what that means, but we do understand that there's something was taking place that was beyond the vocabulary of the people who wrote this to explain it at any greater length. There was no such word as Higgs boson in those times. Just like 50 years ago, there wasn't a word for email. There was no email. There's no word email in the Webster's Dictionary, and now the Webster's Dictionary is filled with all manner of words that were absent from it 50 years ago. And just like the people in the Old Testament could only describe things based on the vocabulary in which they had and they used and made use of, that could only explain it in the ways they could explain it. Light, substance, white, fine, brilliant stuff, forever falling into everything, a substance indestructible and eternal. So this is the foundation of all living things. This is the foundation of all things, I should say. Not just living things, but all things. The physical, the material, are all made up of this fine, indestructible substance, this brilliant stuff. Let there be light, and there was light. There is a healing light in the rays of the sun, which we term a physical light. There is healing power in the wonderful high-powered lamps. But how much greater is the healing power which Jesus recognized in himself and in others? I am the light of the world, he said. He that follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. And I have set thee to be a light. That's what he tells us. He that loveth his brother abideth in the light. That means we're intelligent. The sons of God, without rebuke, ye shine as lights in the world. He said, don't you know that you are gods? That's what he said. You are the light of the world. People didn't understand what that meant. He meant that we're the intelligent species. So let's be intelligent and let's think towards God, the good. Let's be intelligent and think towards the all-knowingness of God, the all-power of God, the power for good, and realize that love brings us the idea. Love brings the good desire to our awareness, but the law of God is what brings it to completion. And so as we work with that love and that law in our mind and realize that there's always something more going on than what we can see, that's why Jesus said it is the Father that doeth the work, the Father being Spirit. The Father works and then I work. In other words, that idea will come to us. That light will shine in our own mind, and we'll realize the solution to our problem. We'll realize the path that we should take. We'll realize what decisions we should make. We'll realize who the people are that are going to support us in our good, and then who the people are that won't. So let us remind ourselves that a mystic is one who has an inner sense of life beyond that which is seen and feels the presence of something beyond our physical senses. I believe that all spiritual seekers tap into the mystic within them, either consciously or unconsciously. It is a normal and natural reaction to spiritual study, to spiritual meditation, to spiritual contemplation, and to spiritual mental imagery, caused by a creative use of our imagination. Our mystical realizations have nothing to do with being psychic, although there are psychics who are mystics. As we read in the Scripture, all that is unseen shall be seen. All that is unseen shall be seen. That is when our mind is open and receptive to the great unseen. When our mind is open and receptive to the great unseen. All that is unseen shall be seen. But it's up to us to think it into our mind so that we can have that realization. Life has been perceived throughout history and contained in the ancient wisdom and various references. In the book of Proverbs 20:27, we can read, "The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord." The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord. And in this reference, we understand that the light that is referred to is intelligence. That is God expressing intelligence through mankind. Not just intelligent, but intelligence. We can draw into our mind all that we need to know when we need to know it, when we're ready to know it. And I've said this so many times before. When Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, every mineral, every material, everything was available in the physical to invent the smartphone. The only thing that wasn't available was the mind of man had not evolved to that level of knowledge and awareness and intelligence to build a smartphone. Everything else was ready. God had already prepared everything. There's nothing that God needs to give us. There's only something that we need to know in our own mind. We need to draw from that intelligence in a greater way for us to have the greater life, the better life, the wonderful life, the more abundant life. It's up to us to do it. Let's go to Proverbs 4:18. "But the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more and more unto the perfect day." So as we draw upon intelligence, we shall be guided to be just. We shall be guided to be understanding and compassionate. And as these qualities are reflected in our contact with others, we start realizing that this intelligence works for us in a greater way. And Jesus said, "How can you love the Father you haven't seen if you can't love the brother that you do see?" And this is a spiritual principle He's giving us. We have to look with everyone with that light of truth and realize everybody is the light of the world. Everybody is part of that light. Everybody is shining together and creating the consciousness, the race-conscious mind, the collective consciousness that builds a greater peace and a greater joy and a greater comfort and a greater life for all. Everything is universal. Jesus was talking to the universal. What He said to one, He was saying to all. Thy faith has made thee whole, so let that light of intelligence within you keep the faith. Keep the faith in all things. Realize that light and love are God's, God made manifest. And realize that my Father is Spirit. Not a spirit, but Spirit. Omnipresent, always present, everywhere present, always available. All power. Not just power, but all power. A power for good that can withstand all things from the world that seem to deny it, that seek to diminish it. That's intelligence to tell us. That's the truth. That intelligence that guides us to be just in our thinking, understanding, and our thinking compassionate, and to love. Love not only the God within our own mind, our own heart, our own soul, but the God within everyone. That spark of the divine within everyone, that image, likeness of intelligence within everyone. Who doesn't think that life is more marvelous when the right ideas come to our awareness, when the answers to our problems come to us, and when the intelligence that we draw from, this intelligence of God that we draw from, gives us the ease in which to make the good decisions about ourselves. Whether we find our joy in the light of truth or just begin to see things in a new light, we are using the intelligence of the infinite mind and the infinite spirit. There is a great rejoicing within our heart and soul when we can say, I see the light that leads me out of the darkness. I see the light that leads me out of the darkness. But do we see it? Do we perceive it? We won't if we're not thinking good about somebody else, because that negativity will block the light. It will filter the light through to where there's no real power to it to sustain it in our life, to sustain happiness and joy. Let's look at these words from the mystical Ernest Holmes. And he's writing this in the first person, so let's take this into our mind and say, this is the truth for me now. I believe this is so too. He writes, I place my affairs in the hands of goodness, love, and wisdom. I place them there with supreme confidence. I have a childlike faith and trust in good. I know there is nothing between me and that which is for my best. I am filled with enthusiastic hope. I look forward to entering into the fullness of life. I am conscious that good and more good is expressing through my thought and therefore in my life. My mind is open to the inflow of truth. I am guided, I am informed, I am guarded, and I am led into the pathways of peace and goodness. I realize the presence of the living spirit within me and within all people I come into contact with. My physical body is formed of spiritual substance. It is divinely conceived and perfectly created. There is a perfect coordination in every part of my being because the spirit of perfection is acting in and through me. As I recognize that this is so, and I identify with the intelligence, the spirit, and the power of God. The law of good is continuously operating in my life. I am always equal to any task set before me. I am confident of my ability to meet every situation. I can solve every problem, overcome every difficulty, realizing that the Spirit, that God, knows no obstruction. I have implicit confidence in its ability to operate through me always and under every situation. My mind is open to new ideas. The Spirit is ever active in me. The divine mind is inexhaustible. There is no weary or monotonous action in the Spirit. It is forever new and vibrant, fresh with ideas. I know that I am continuously receiving more new impressions from life, new, better, and fuller ways of living. I let the newness, the freshness, the originality of Spirit permeate my entire consciousness, my mind, my heart, and my soul. I sense my oneness with all life. I enter into the joy of conscious union with the infinite. There is one mind. This mind is God. This mind is my mind now. It is spirit. It is life. It is truth. As Jesus tells us, the Father is spirit, and we must worship him in spirit and in truth. I am conscious of infinite peace, divine joy, and complete security. My affairs are in the keeping of divine, infinite wisdom. I am guided by divine intelligence. The activity of spirit inspires my mind and flows through my actions. Life lies open to me, rich, full, and abundant. I am a free soul. I am completely, positively, and eternally free. I am free from doubt, from fear, from unhappiness, today and forever. I know this is the truth for me now, and I know this is the truth for everyone. And I allow myself to believe it. I allow myself to affirm it in my mind that this is the truth for me now. I identify myself with every good thing, every good idea, every good desire that comes to my mind, knowing that every good desire, every good idea is God's good desire, God's good idea for me. And I let myself be guided and directed to all things and all people that ensure that my good desires will be made manifest, that my prayers shall be answered in a completeness and a fullness never before experienced by me. I know that as I surrender all fear and all doubt and I let go of all uncertainty, there is no confusion and no lack of confidence in me. And I know that what is mine will claim me as I claim it. There's good for me and I ought to have it, and I claim it now. I'll let this be my belief. I'll let this be my faith. I know that faith is the strength of my soul. And I am never lost. I am never blinded by anything other than the light of love, the light of truth, the light of intelligence. It blinds me to all the negation of the world. It blinds me to all the negativity. It blinds me to all the nonsense and noise of the universe around me, of the world around me. And it lets me see the truth and lets me see the greater good, the greater promise, the greater love, the greater activity of the infinite, moving through the hearts, the minds, and the souls of all those around me, and through my own soul, my own heart, my own mind, bringing me into a greater realization, a greater identification with that image and likeness of God within me. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within you, not lo here or lo there. And so I take my thought upon this truth and build within my mental household an activity in my mind that is good and very good. It's full of enthusiasm for life and joy for life and love for life. I see that the light leads me out of the darkness. And everyone desires to live without darkness in their lives, and that's the truth for me and the truth for you. No depression, no illness, no financial lack, no worry. And as we seek the light within us, we shall discover its revealing and healing power to dissolve the darkness in all its forms. Just as we read in the ancient wisdom, Ecclesiastes 11:7, truly the light is sweet. Truly the light is sweet.